You're listening to the Patriot Nation Podcast.
To another edition of the Patriot Nation Podcast. As always, your boy Pat Lane here with my guy, Matt St. Jean. And Matt, the Patriots scored over 10 points against the San Francisco 49ers. That's pretty good. And they gave up 30, but they scored over 10 points.
It was, if we're counting points the Patriots scored versus points the Patriots offense set up for the 49ers, it would be a 13-10 Patriots win.
I mean, that's just one of, again, I shouldn't even say one of the worst performances because I don't even think it was the worst performance of the year so far. Thursday night was far and away worse than this one was, but you just felt like the whole game, the Patriots never had a chance. Just never had a chance the whole game. San Fran was just so much better. And they just it was just yeah, okay, good luck trying to do literally anything against us. And the offense looked just really bad, really bad. And the defense, I thought the defense actually played okay for the most part, but it's unfortunately they just can't hang with a team like that. They just can't do it.
No, and this is, we didn't talk much on our pregame show about what it would take to win this game for a lot of reasons. One, it was going to be very difficult, and two, I don't think that was the expectation. Like we outlined at the beginning of the year, we're not measuring the season's success based on wins and losses. It's player development. But if you wanted to win this game, you were going to have, a perfect game or close to it on offense for what these players are capable of, combined with, win time of possession, win the turnover battle, control the ball, shorten the game, and hope some plays go your way. Did it against Cincinnati, but very early that came apart for you. If I'm remembering correctly, your first three drives, your first one, you get across midfield. You have some real decent moments to open the game there. Some well-executed plays. You get a 4th and 3 down. Your opening drive, 10.5 point underdog on the road. You line up like you're going to go for it. You don't. You punt. Did not like that decision. Didn't like it in the moment. I feel like it got worse with hindsight. I believe the next possession was the Ramondre Stevenson fumble.
Sure was.
Right off the bat. And right after that, you throw a pick six. You just can't have it. You put yourself in a position where you can't succeed. You dig yourself a hole against a team that's better than you, and then you add in all the injuries and the attrition that happened, and it got ugly and it deserved to.
Yeah, and that's look. I think that we can talk about, and I'm sure we're going to get into different players and stuff, and the coaches are getting just absolutely eviscerated, right? Danny's already asking is AVP a one and done. People are saying that, Alex Van Pelt is a worse coach than Matt Patricia, and that all of it, right? Gerard Mayo should be fired already, and so on and so forth. And it's well, we have to take a step back. I want everyone to just take a deep breath and take a step back for a second. Gerard Mayo inherited a team completely devoid of elite talent. Now, did they have some good talent on the team? They absolutely did, right? They absolutely did. They had some good talent on the team, okay? Whether that was Gerard Mayo, whether that was Matthew Judon, who they had to trade, right? Thanks, Bill. They had to trade him because of something that Belichick did last year. Again, same exact thing that happened with Stephon Gilmore. They had
to be fair, I do think that kind of regardless, that was probably the right move with Judon anyways. But now that we've seen this team out there, it's all right,
100%.
He wasn't changing anything. Take any pick you get.
That I agree with, right? Then you also look at your best players now. You think about the middle of the defense being the most important part of your defense. The best defensive lineman on your team out for the season. More than likely out for the season. Your best linebacker out for the season, right? So now you start looking at it and you say, what the heck is going on? This, so of course this is the case, right? No, Ryan, you don't understand. I didn't say devoid of talent. I said devoid of elite talent. And so there's talent, and then there's elite talent, right? The Patriots have some talent. They do. They have some talent across the the team, but it's not elite. They don't have anyone elite. You see George Kittle make that touchdown catch over 3 Patriots in the corner of the end zone. They don't have a guy that can do that. They have 0 guys that can do that. They just don't.
When you talk about being injured up the middle, I think they do have one guy who can match that, not on offense, but on defense, and that's Kyle Duggar, who at that point was out and missed most of this game. And it's
right.
This is your strength is up the middle defensively with this roster. That is, if we want to look where this team might have elite players, that's where it's going to be. I don't know if Peppers or Duggar are either of them are elite as a duo. I think they're elite. Tavai and Bentley, I don't know if either is elite. As a duo. They are
a duo, right?
Far more elite, and you got that whole group is just shredded with injuries right now.
Right.
And then that also doesn't talk about the fact that there's no Anthony Jennings today. And
made
a
a
game
difference
like this against a rushing attack like this, you really want that type of player, especially because they and Andrew Callahan brought this up a lot. When the defense had issues, it was because they were in their base defenses, and that's where Anthony Jennings is going to play a ton. And instead, it was Joshua Uche, who great pass rusher, does not do much else for you out there.
Right.
You could just run at him, and you're going to get creases and lanes and untouched touchdown runs and all that kinds of stuff. And Jennings helps you in a game like this. Obviously, everybody's banged up, but this team is definitely not good enough to win games if they're going to be this injured.
Well, that's what it comes down to, right? And listen, by the way, I do think that Christian Gonzalez, I think, continues to develop into a better player. But offensively, you get nothing. You have nothing offensively. And what you've done is you've taken Mike Onwenu, who's a very good guard, and turned him into a mediocre to below average tackle. I mean, he, again, was getting worked. Again, Jacobs got worked at left tackle, which you can't really blame him for that. I mean, he's going against Joey Bosa, right? But or Nick Bosa, I'm sorry. But it's just those things again. Layden Robinson, my God, Layden Robinson was so bad today. And to the point, he's bad to the point where I would strongly consider moving Onwenu back inside and just sticking someone at right tackle and just saying at least we'll have someone good on the right side, Well,
if we want to talk about the guard situation, I thought we were all optimistic about Layden Robinson after week 1. The more Layden Robinson I have watched, the more I think he needs to go to the bench. He's got strength as a run blocker, but he is just so far removed from being an NFL caliber pass blocker. And obviously being rough at the tackle spots is bad. It can ruin your offense. But when you have an immobile quarterback that is not going to create with his feet that much, and a guard who allows pressure at a crazy high rate,
right,
that's a nightmare scenario. At least if there's pressure around the edges. Even when some of these tackles have issues, you can try to push the defensive end, around to the quarterback and let Brissett step up and make a play. You can't do that if there's a defensive tackle in his lap.
Right.
Layden Robinson basically destroyed an entire possession in the game today, allowing back-to-back. I think it was a pressure and then a sack, I believe is what it was. I think everybody allowed a sack today, except possibly Nick Leverett. I got to rewatch the game, but I thought he held up admirably.
Which is interesting because
Andrews and
I was worried
too. No bad snaps, I think, most importantly.
Mm-hmm.
And I never noticed that he was out there really, which is all you can ask for an offensive lineman.
Very true.
But yeah, I think you talk about what this offensive line needs to look like to get the basic stuff done. I'm looking for Michael Jordan to get healthy again because I think he's been one of their best pass blockers on the inside of the line.
Yeah,
and I think I'm still okay with leaving Onwenu at tackle the issues are rough, but I don't know if you're going to get somebody better out there. And I think he's good enough at it that I wonder if you want to let him play through the issues and try to see if he can figure it out there. And maybe you just stick Michael Jordan at left guard when he's back and let Sidiso and Layden Robinson, 2 guards who have heavy feet, heavy hands, who can anchor well and push in the running game, but who have serious mental and technique issues as pass blockers. let the two of them battle for that right guard spot. I think that's how I'd handle it. And then Lowe at left tackle whenever he gets healthy.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you're not wrong about it. From the way I look at it is that if you were able to stick, I've been saying this since, for a few weeks now, but like, when Vidarian Lowe comes back healthy, and assuming Caden Wallace is healthy, because who knows if he's even healthy. But I would like to see Caden Wallace at right tackle. I just think it makes sense because especially for me, because I want to know what I have in Caden Wallace, because I want to look at it and just see, okay, well, do I need a right tackle and a left tackle, or do I feel okay with Caden Wallace at right tackle, and now I just need a left tackle in the draft? Like those are the things for me that I think you have to figure out. Now, listen, I'm sure you can figure that out without actually seeing him there at right tackle because you see him in practice every day and you kind of know. But like, still, I think that personally, I would like to see him over there at right tackle because that is an important position. And that's the way I look at it. And, whether they end up doing that or not, I don't know. I just feel like, and you're right in the fact that, maybe we can find another guard that can do it. You're not wrong about that. But are we going to take a downgrade from Onwenu to Wallace at right tackle? Sure. But think about the upgrade that you'll get at right guard, right? If you move Onwenu to right guard. And I feel like I'd rather have Wallace at right tackle. Put it this way. I think Onwenu's a better right guard than he is a right tackle. And he's significantly better than either of the other guys you're going to put there. And so, for me, that gives you a better right side of the line. Now, again, whether that works out in real time or not, I don't know. But that's the way I look at it.
Well, the thing that's tough is that for what we've seen from Caden Wallace, at least in games, I just don't know how comfortable I feel with it. And I think I fully agree with the mindset of let's play the young guys and let them play through their issues and develop. The problem is that right now, Layden Robinson is not good enough to do that with. I'm not sure Caden Wallace is good enough to do that with. And even City So has some real issues. I mean, there was a sack that the Patriots gave up. I think it was Nick Bosa's first. I don't remember if it was a strip sack or not. They're all blurring together.
That was the last play of the game essentially the last offensive play of the game was Bosa's first sack. He didn't have a sack before that.
It was the play where he came up the middle, where he was on the outside and then he looped up the middle. Okay. This is the issue that City So has had his entire career here. He's playing the left guard, and the defensive tackle that he's responsible for blocking at first cuts to the outside. When he cuts to the outside, you should be aware of the fact that a defensive end may be coming behind him into your gap.
Right.
He never looks for it. He never sees it. Bosa goes right through that gap, clear through that gap. And like that's one of the issues. If they're going to be doing stuff like that, I think everything is on the table for this offensive line right now. I want to play the young players. I'm not sure how many of the young players I'm even comfortable having on the field because I don't know if they're good enough to do the developing. There's a part of me that wonders if you go to a line that looks like Vidarian Lowe, Michael Jordan, David Andrews, Nick Leverett, and Michael Onwenu, and you're just not playing any of the young guys. And from a future development standpoint, I hate it. But also, you have to figure out what you have in your young receivers. You have to figure out at some point here what you have in your quarterback. You have to have a somewhat functional group so that you can be in competitive games and keep the team engaged and find out what you have in your defensive players. Because if every game is like this, you're going to really lose the defense. And yeah, I know you keep saying that I'm not wrong. I think we're both wrong, Pat. All these options suck.
Yeah, I mean, right. Well, and that's ultimately what it comes down to is that if everyone's going to suck, I would just rather say, all right, what does the future look like? Right? Layden Robinson ain't getting it done at right guard. It's just not happening right now. And so how do I replace him at right guard? I don't really have a guard I'm comfortable with, but I have a young tackle that has looked okay at times. What if I put him at right tackle? What if Mike Onwenu's not getting it done at right tackle? He's just not. He's just not getting it done at right tackle. Right? And so it's like, here's a guy who's really good. And he's not, and he's playing out of position in my opinion. And again, and I've said it before, and I'll continue to say it. And this isn't just a this year problem, right? Like This is a problem that's been building for years. You kept running it back with Trent Brown when you knew that Trent Brown sucked. You knew he sucked, right? And it was like, well, you just keep running it back with this guy. He doesn't want to be here. He's not very good. He's a cancer to the team. Like, and you just kept running it back with him because you didn't have anyone else. And it was like, okay, stop doing that. And then, you give the 50-year option to Isaiah Wynn, which again, at the time, I actually thought wasn't a terrible idea because he had played respectably the year before.
Yeah, he was worthy of it based on just the prior year's performance.
Correct. Right. And so that didn't work out. And then, as Ryan pointed out, we drafted Jake Andrews, a backup center who still hasn't played a game yet, over a guy like DeJuan Jones.
He played the finale last year.
Oh, you're right. Okay, and looked terrible. But but it's one of those things where it's like you draft a backup center instead of a position of need. And then you draft City So, who never played tackle in college, to play tackle in the pros, which is completely insane. And then you have an opportunity. Last year, you have an opportunity to spend. We have an exorbitant amount of cap space. You have an opportunity to sign Mike McGlinchey or Jawan Taylor. Now, are either of those guys superstars or Orlando Brown? So there's three guys. Orlando Brown's father played for Bill Belichick. What are we doing? You wouldn't sign Orlando Brown? What the hell's wrong with you? So, you had a chance for any of those three guys. Are they amazing players? Absolutely not. Would they have been massive upgrades? They absolutely. And instead, you signed Calvin Anderson and Riley Reif. This year, you took the wrong guy at tackle. They weren't very good tackles on the board, right? They just weren't. The kid that signed with the Jets said he's only going to contender. I'm not signing with anyone else. He said that. Okay, well, what are we going to do? Right? And so, there wasn't anyone else available. You took Drake May at number 3 because you had to. And then you tried to move up into the back half of the first round. You couldn't do it. Right? And so you drafted a wide receiver where you drafted him because that's all that was there. It didn't make sense to reach for tackle at that point. And then, you drafted what's his name, Caden Wallace in the third, and we had questions about Caden Wallace at the time, right? I didn't love that pick at the time. I still don't love the pick, but I also do think that they could be playing him at the right position. I just feel like playing him at left tackle is a mistake. They should be playing at right tackle, and they don't, and that's frustrating for me.
Yeah, well, the team. This is a combination of Bill and Elliot Wolf and everybody in that front office. Our offensive line evaluations, I don't think, have been very good for a bit now.
Right.
Some of this has been, bad luck. And the Calvin Anderson signing in a vacuum, really good idea. Guy who had played well as a swing tackle, was scheme versatile. All right, let's bring him in and see if we can coach him up into a third tackle or whatever. And he gets malaria, and he hasn't been, close to that guy since. Right. Riley Reif, you're thinking at least he might not be good, but at least he's veteran experience and he won't bottom out. Well, he bottomed out and then got hurt, so you can't even try to salvage him. That was it. Their draft picks since the Isaiah Wynn draft, going back to 2019, they took Yadni Kajust, who hasn't played in a game since 2022. Hjalte Froholt, who has turned into a very good player, but he bounced around the league. It took him a number of stops before he got to that point. Those are both from the 2019 draft. 2020, they took Michael Wenu. Obviously, that worked. They took Justin Herron, who has not played in a game in a while. I believe, is he on the Denver? No, that's William Sherman. They took Dustin Woodard late in that draft, who not only never played with the team, retired before camp. Year after that, it's Will Sherman. I believe that's it. Yeah, who played one game for the team in 2021 on special teams, and that was it, and didn't make the team the following year. He's on Denver's practice squad now. He's been sitting there for a while. It's Cole Strange, who at least, he seemed, I think the worst case right now for Strange with his ability last year is low-quality starter. But he's injured, so we don't know what that is going to turn into or what he will look like when he gets back. Jason Hines and Andrew Stuber from that draft. Neither one has ever played an NFL game. Jake Andrews played really one game, got hurt. You're not going to see him this year. City So, developmental, some really good signs with him to at worst probably be a rotational interior player. Antonio Mafi. there were issues with that pick at the time, and not on the team anymore. Very quickly became not a scheme fit. And the guys they picked this year, a lot of the players they picked there, they're picking like these big, heavy, physical guards and interior players, and that's not a scheme fit with what they do. I think one of the most telling plays for me is they tried to run a screen at one point in this game, and it doesn't work because none of the offensive linemen are fast enough to get out in front of the ball carrier to block anyone.
Right.
How can you run screens when that's happening? These guys are not quick enough to run the offense they want to run. And, I think you can – there's blame to go on Bill Belichick there, but some of the guys we're talking about are either drafted this year under this front office, or if we're talking about guys drafted last year, Elliott Wolf had say in what was going on.
Right.
He had some say in drafting City So.
Well, and that then becomes the question is that, what are we looking for, right? Like, what type of players are we looking for? And do we have that, right? I don't know. Like that kind of becomes that issue where it's like, do we have, are we finding the right people for what we want to do? Right. And I don't know if we are. And that then becomes a question because it's not just about drafting random guys. It's about drafting guys that fit your scheme and what you want to do. That was the whole point about drafting Cole Strange was that, well, we're going to run more of a zone and we need guys that can move and blah, 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 and all this. Okay, fine. Sure. But, that's the issue. So also,
and that's
here's what I'm going to tell you. Listen, Articular Pack, I appreciate you. Math, I'm just going to tell you right now. Math is more exciting right now than watch this team because I'm a math teacher. I love math. So I'm the wrong guy to come talk to about math being more exciting. And math is very exciting to me. But this offensive side of the football is hard to watch. Hard to watch. It's hard to watch. And they're not getting much better right now. Jacoby Brissett has looked bad. He's looked bad. And so, listen, I think I don't want to spend too much longer on the GM side of it because there are mistakes that have been made. I think we can all kind of look at that and say 100% there have been real mistakes that would be made. But like at this point, we just kind of have to move forward and say, you know what? There were mistakes. Wolf is to blame for it. Belichick's to blame for it. You can throw some blame on Mayo if you want to blame. But at a certain point, it's just kind of like, what do you want? Like, we have to move past that and kind of see what's coming in the future, in my opinion.
Yeah. I do only have one last point I want to make on just the GM thing.
Yeah, sure.
Which is that I think, going forward, you want to see them do a good job of identifying the types of players that are a fit and adding them, whether it be, in free agency or the draft.
Yep.
Because, you're not going to fix the tackle position in free agency. You can fix center in free agency. You can fix guard in free agency. You can fix swing tackle in free agency. You can fix depth in free agency. And, if we look long term, they got to play, math here, 13 more games this season. All those offensive line combinations we talked about, I'm sure we're going to see a number of them.
Right.
Where we're like, this is an open question right now. It's not going to be an open question by January because we will have seen these things. They will have worked things out and tried to figure it out. You want to figure out which guys you want to keep around because the group's going to look different next year. If you go back to like the 2000, 2001 Patriots, from year one to year two, offensive line changed a bunch. Like they developed some guys internally and drafted Matt Light and plugged him in at left tackle, as your starter in the Super Bowl. And you make some free agent signings in there, and they were still tweaking the line throughout the year too. So it's not going to be perfect by the end of this year. It's not going to be perfect week one next year. The idea is that growth and development to turn some of these pieces into guys that you like, figure out which puzzle pieces are missing, and then address prospects or veterans who can fill as much as you can of those puzzle pieces that are missing.
Right. Well, and listen, and he asked a good question here. What position do they address that's not still a problem now? And you're not wrong. But again, the issue that I have is that there was no real talent on offense. None. you had Ramondre Stevenson, and I guess Mike Onwenu a guard, but like that's it. And so you went out and drafted a quarterback because you need a quarterback. He can't play yet. Either number one, he's not ready. Number two, you're not ready for him. I don't care. That's okay. Let him sit. That's fine. People get all upset that we drafted a guy at number 3 and he can't play now. So what? It doesn't matter if he can play now. I care about it. Can he play next year and in 2 years and in 3 years, right? And in 5 years and in 10, whatever, right? I think he has the ability to be that guy. Good. You drafted a wide receiver who I thought looked promising today. I thought he looked promising today.
If we were going to have bright spots for today, I think Jalen Polk was one of the few.
100%. And that's so okay. He's getting better. You draft Caden Wallace. I don't know. We'll see how Caden Wallace is. Not sure. But that's one of those things where I look at it and say, okay, they tried to address these things, but again, we all said you can't address all these things at once. You can't fix all of them. You just can't do it. Right? And I think what we've seen from Drake May, even the small sample size we've seen from Drake May, he looks pretty good. He's got to get out there and do it. Right? He's got to get out there and do it. But
and he's and a lot of these guys they drafted, I think, were also with an eye towards the future. These weren't guys that were going to necessarily make an impact day one. Drake May is a guy who they intended to be developmental to a degree. Mm-hmm. Now we will see the degree to which he's developmental, I'm sure, in the coming weeks here. But yeah, I think Polk. I'm optimistic about the receiving core at this point because I think Polk has really given you some flashes. I got to rewatch the game, obviously, still, and watch the tape. But I think Pop Douglas looks fine on tape. I kind of think Brissett just doesn't like throwing to him. Part of me wonders if Brissett doesn't like throwing to the smaller receivers because there are plays where he's open and Brissett just does not look his way.
He has accuracy issues. He has accuracy issues, and I think he looks at those smaller receivers as they don't have long enough arms. I'm worried that I won't be able to get the ball to them as easily, and so I'm not going to go there. Right?
You just default to throwing to Austin Hooper or KJ Osborne or Hunter Henry or whatever because they're bigger.
Right.
And then I thought Kayshon Boutte has looked athletically. He looks like he has more burst than a lot of the other guys in the receiving core.
Yeah. He's looked pretty good. They're gonna get, by the way, this the NFL, man. This is wild. They're gonna get a Josh Allen just fumbled the ball and they're gonna get a penalty on. I assume they're gonna get a penalty. They shouldn't. I don't know. Anyways, doesn't matter.
I opened Twitter when you said that, and I see JP Acosta saying, "Oh my God, Josh Allen got rocked."
He absolutely did get rocked, but they're going to call. I assume they're going to call a penalty on them. Maybe they're not. I don't know. They called it. Oh, maybe it was after the return. Anyways, doesn't matter. He got strip sacked. Unnecessary roughness afterwards, but he got rocked. He also made an insane. He also made an absolutely insane play.
He did.
Where he was rolling to his right and just threw it 60 yards downfield. It was outrageous, on the sideline. Anyway, but that's what I think Drake May can be. Maybe not quite as good as Josh Allen, but
he gives you 70% of that. You're thrilled.
Right. That's the whole point. You know what I mean? That's what we're here for. So, so we'll see.
I want to make another point in the offensive line here too. I think I mentioned it earlier on another episode, but I don't know if you're going to see the coaching make a big difference until later in the season or next year because you're teaching guys new habits, and that just takes time to apply. You got to learn it, go on the field, mess it up, go back to the tape, see how you messed it up, fix it again. Then a defender's going to find another way to make you mess up, and then you relearn it. And that's one area where I almost want to keep on one tackle for a little bit just so he can learn some of this stuff. And I look at somebody like Demontre Jacobs over there trying to play left tackle today. Awful spot for him to be in. He just came to this team. He's basically never played in the NFL before. He's playing next to a left guard who he hasn't even really practiced with next to up until this week because City So has been hurt. And he's a young player. These are both young players. And now he's, I'm assuming, being taught a new way of playing tackle to a degree. And you got to go learn it on the fly against Nick Bosa in a game where you're down by 2 scores, a quarter into it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't. Jacobs did not look very good today. Most players wouldn't in that circumstance.
Correct. Yeah, I would agree with that. And I mean, I think, yeah, that the O line is a problem. But you're right. Like, what are you going to do? You can't expect this kid to come in and play, extremely well right off the bat. And I just think that yeah. But listen, I will say, you mentioned the coaching staff. I think the coaching staff has been better than they're given credit for. This team still fights. Listen, they're not very good. There's not a lot of talent out there, but there's no quit in them either. It's not as though they're out there, not playing and, quitting on the team. And like Mac Jones, in 2022, where he's throwing a hissy fit on the field and he's yelling at the sideline. That stuff's not happening, right? That stuff's not happening. And so to me, I look at it and think like, all right, like, this is kind of like, I'm happy with what I've seen so far. That doesn't necessarily mean that, that they're doing a great job, but I do think that they're still coaching them up to, to kind of feel that way. And listen, by the way, we're 3 weeks removed from, what we thought was a great win. Now it turns out Cincinnati's actually pretty terrible, but like what we thought was a great win on the road in week 1 where they were fired up and they played really well. And now since then, Juwan Bentley's gone out with an injury. I think the Juwan Bentley injury is one that people don't appreciate how big of an injury that was. I look at it similar to when Donta Hightower went down with an injury, and everyone just kind of said, well, yeah, he'll be fine. We'll be fine. And no, they're not going to be fine without him because the whole defense kind of revolves around him being that guy. And so, that's kind of the idea. And now, as Jack pointed out, David Andrews got hurt again today. So now you're like, what in the world are we doing? Like, how can we recover from all of these injuries and all of these problems going on? And is the coaching perfect? Absolutely not. But I think the coaching has been better than what people want to give them credit for.
I don't know if we want to do an ad read and then come back and get into the coaching. Because I got some takes. Also before that, I just saw the Josh Allen play. You might see it in the video of this. When I saw it, I kind of reacted. It looks like it's out of a Jason. Wait, who's the director? Michael Bay.
Oh yeah,
Jason Bay. Looks like it's like a Michael Bay shot of a dude just getting rocked.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he got crushed. So yeah. All right, we'll do an ad read for Prize Picks here.
Yeah.
All right, so Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with more than 5 million active members. Prize Picks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on Prize Picks is just you against the numbers. All you have to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 players, stat projections, and watch the winnings roll in. Now, this week was the last week for it, but one Caleb Williams passing yard got you 1 win on Prize Picks every week in September. That means only 1 passing yard gets you an automatic win. I'm hoping that you used it, but what are you going to do? You can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Now, this week, I had given you my picks this week, and unfortunately, with my picks, the guys didn't play. Really, is what happened. So I had Devontae Adams, and I also had A.T. Perry going as well. Neither of those guys played, and so my money was actually refunded for that. But if you followed Matt's advice and you went with Caleb Williams for more than 0.5 passing yards, which I hope you did, Rashid Shaheed with more than 43.5 passing yards, and Alan Lazard, the Lizard, with more than 2.5 receptions, you would have won some money. So hopefully you did that with him. But what you're going to do is download the Prize Picks app today. You're going to use the promo code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even have to win like I did with Matt's bets this week. You can just receive a $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. All right. You got some takes on the coaching staff?
Yeah, if anyone follows me on Twitter probably saw I had some comments about some of the offensive play calling and the defensive play calling early in this one today. I think my overall take here is that I thought the coaching staff looked really rough and young and inexperienced early in this game, and I thought by the end they made good adjustments and figured things out a lot better. I want to start the offensive side. I mentioned that that fourth down that they didn't go for on the opening drive. They had one that they ended up going for later in the game, and I did not think they managed the situation very well.
Yeah.
4th and 1, and they get to the line, and they fake like they're going to do a play, and they audible into the tush push thing, which, by the way, I believe it's correct that they changed the rules for the tush push this year, and like the players have to be standing like a yard behind the quarterback before they can push him.
Yeah, I don't know.
I believe
Maybe.
is what it is, which I noticed because the Patriots players were not doing that. And if they do run a tush push this year out of that formation, they might get flagged. So that also might be a defensive tell that they're not going to run a play there if they're lining up like that in an illegal formation. So I that caught my eye. But you go through all this fancy stuff in which it becomes very clear that you're not actually going to run a play. And you call timeout. And then you come back out to go for it again. And you go with the heavy personnel, but your only receiver on the field is Kayshon Boutte. Everybody knows, like it's Kayshon Boutte. You're not going to go out there with him as your only receiver and throw the ball. That's not what's going to be happening. So everyone knows that it's a run.
Yeah.
And then the 49ers stack one side, and you run it at that side, and it goes nowhere with a play that they ran earlier in the game on the first possession that didn't go anywhere. I don't get anything about that. And I think this is game management with Gerard Mayo. They've done this multiple times this year where 4th and short, they kind of send the offense out there to try to draw you off sides. Everyone knows you're not going for it, and then they leave. You have to actually go for it sometimes if you want that to work.
Right.
Then the offensive play calling and personnel decision to have that personnel alignment out there, especially after that specific play had already not worked, I question. And then I'm going to call out Jacoby Brissett on this. One side of the line, this is the play Caden Wallace got hurt on, by the way. The Caden Wallace side is the heavier side. And that's the side of the 49ers had less defenders. There may have been room to run on that side. I'm going to assume that the quarterback has some freedom to change the direction of the run at the line of scrimmage. Maybe not. And if I'm wrong there, then this would be also an Alex Van Pelt. But if you can change the direction of the run, change it to the side where obviously it's weaker and you get to run behind, City So in Michael Onwenu and Caden Wallace into a lighter box instead of running behind DeMontre Jacobs into a heavier box. I said City So. It's Lynn Robinson on the right side.
Still.
Yeah, no, I don't like that. Didn't make sense to me. But then later on, they came out and they went for it on 4th down and they got it, which was, I thought that was a good play call, similar personnel, and they passed out of it. Great to do that. Yeah, those are my offensive thoughts. We'll start on the offensive side of the ball. I don't know what you thought there.
Listen, I mean, it was bad. You're not wrong. It was real bad. And that's the whole thing was a mess, right? You're wrong about that. I mean, you're not wrong about that, right? That's the frustrating part, is that you feel like we had an opportunity to, see what was happening here. We had an opportunity to make some plays and they just haven't. And so it's frustrating. And look, whatever happens, you wonder, like, how far can we go with this team, right? And how far can we go with that play calling? And they also will say everyone's a rookie, right? Everyone's a rookie. You have a rookie offensive coordinator. You have a rookie defensive coordinator. You have a rookie special teams coordinator. You have a rookie head coach. Everyone's a rookie. And so, like, from that part, there are going to be growing pains. Was that bad? Absolutely. Do I hope that they're able to look at it and say, we need to get better at this? That's what I want to do, right? That's what I want to see them do. Now, I will say, like, you also have to know what you can and can't do. So, like Mr. Roberto right here says, where are the screens? Well, they've ran a few screens. The offensive line is too slow to get out there. Can't get out there. Just can't get out there. Every time they run a screen, it goes for a 5-yard loss.
A quick thing on the screen here. I forget, was it Brissett who had mentioned at one point that when they were going for their deep plays, he thought there must have been some kind of tell because the defense was always in cover 2 and they wanted to go deep? I will say from the TV copy today, I could see one of their screens coming. It was the
Yeah.
little dump off to the running back in the flat where they have all the receivers on the side block. And
Right.
like you could just tell from the body language of the receivers that they weren't going to be running routes. And you could see Hunter Henry like very clearly looking at all of the defenders trying to figure out, all right, which guy am I going to block? And it's like, I don't know. I don't know if the defense is picking up on that. I don't know if that's why it didn't work out. Brissett had a poor throw on it, which, made things more difficult. There's a lot going on there. But, like, I don't know if I can tell from here that you're running a screen on this play based on the players involved in their body language, someone in the NFL is picking that up.
Right. Yeah, you would think. Also, shout out to Carlos here. Hold on, where is it? Come on, I got it. Here we go. Shout out to Carlos. Shouting out GameTime for getting them cheaper tickets to watch the Pats today. Hopefully, you use promo code CLNS. Got yourself $20 off.
You didn't even get to see Drake May at the end of a blowout like I got to see last week.
True.
That's unfortunate.
That's true. And look, I mean, I think that this is, yeah. Look, it's not ideal. It's not anything that anyone wants to see. But at the same time, like I think it's at a certain point we have no choice other than to just stay the course. You have to just stay the course, right? And and that's kind of all you can do at this point is continue doing what you're doing. And is it going to be fun as a fan? Absolutely not. Is it going to be fun as a coach? No, it's not going to be. But you can't put Drake May behind a revolving turnstile on the offensive line. You can't do it. And it's just, that this is, unfortunately, this is what you signed up for because the team stinks. The talent wasn't there offensively. I mean, again, I'm gonna point to the sign. I'm gonna keep tapping the sign. The Patriots got flexed out of a Monday night football game last year against the Kansas City Chiefs with Taylor Swift, the ratings darling, confirmed in the building.
Yeah.
What else do you need to know? That's how bad the Patriots were last year.
Yeah, and they just
and by the way, they've been getting worse. They haven't been addressing positions. They haven't addressed they didn't address any of these. So it's like, what do you want them to do? You can't fix the offense in 1 year. Sure, you got rid of Mac Jones and brought in Jacoby Brissett. Okay. Drake May wasn't ready to go. Everyone knew Drake May wasn't going to be ready to go. Everyone knew that.
Yeah.
Right? But you drafted him because you think he can be the guy. Maybe he can't be the guy right now, but you can see the potential in him. You draft him. If you can get a true elite quarterback, you do it. Full stop.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Full stop.
Yeah. Nah, that's...
and Marvin Harrison Jr. So what? Marvin Harrison Jr. So what?
I love Marvin, but he would not have been the pick for this team. Because
what are we talking about? DeAndre Hopkins. How good is DeAndre Hopkins? How many rings has DeAndre Hopkins won? How many rings? 0. How many AFC Championship games has DeAndre Hopkins been in? 0. DeAndre Hopkins is an incredible wide receiver. It doesn't matter if you don't have an offensive line and a quarterback. It just doesn't matter. You can put up all those numbers. Who cares?
The offensive line is kind of your ticket to get on the ride here. Yeah, you got to be good enough to be able to compete. I'd love for this to be a top offensive line, and hopefully they get there at some point. You got to get to top 20.
Right.
Like that's your next thing, which I think is attainable next season.
Mm-hmm.
If you do the right things. But yeah, Carlos asked about Demontre Jacobs at one point. By the way, he said wasn't sure how he looked in person. Like, I thought Jacobs had some moments, but his problem was there was 2 things. He was letting rushers win to the inside of him because he was dropping too far, which twice really burnt him. And then with Nick Bosa, like every time that Demontre Jacobs put his hands out to block, Nick Bosa was literally just grabbing them and throwing them away and going past him. Which part of that is a Bosa thing, and part of that is this guy's young, inexperienced, still figuring it out and getting baptized right now. But yeah, defensively, I thought their issue was, it was a little bit of a lack of speed, but they're coming out in base defense, which for them is a 3-4 defense. Three big guys out there and two outside linebackers, two middle linebackers, and 4 guys in the secondary. And that group just wasn't quite good enough today, and the 49ers got them on the field in that group, and then would hurry up a little bit and take advantage of the fact that they had slower guys out there, which is what the Jets did last week. I thought they eventually did adjust. I thought there was a point where we saw them playing more man coverage, and I thought their man coverage, by and large, was really good today.
Yeah.
Outside of Jonathan Jones getting beat that one time, I thought they looked really good there. I thought Christian Gonzalez had a fantastic game. But a couple issues in zone that led to stuff. And the 49ers are really good at running the ball, and you're down a bunch of key pieces of your run defense. So, they just gave up some stuff there that I think you wish you could get back. But I thought they tackled better. I thought they executed better. I thought they found things that worked a couple drives into the game. But I did not like them coming out against the San Francisco 49ers in a 3-4 defense playing regular cover 2. Yeah. It's not 2004.
Right. And that's, I agree with you on that. I mean, look, there was the one play, I thought Marcus Jones played a really nice, I thought he played pretty well. Of course, he gave it that long pass, but that pass was so perfect to Juwan Jennings, was so perfect. Juwan Jennings made such an incredible play. And it was just unfortunately, there's just nothing that you can do. There's nothing Marcus Jones could have done other than be 2 feet taller. There's just nothing he could have done. He played it perfectly. He was right there. Brock Purdy dropped it in the bucket over him, and Juwan Jennings made a great play. There's just nothing you could do, unfortunately. And so, I looked at it and just said, all right, you just chalk that up as a loss. What else can you say about a play like that? And so that's the way I looked at it, at least, and you go from there,
Well, the issue with that is that he is never going to get taller, so you do wonder how you are going to use him on the field. But I mean, it was also a fantastic play. That's just going to happen sometimes. There's a wide receiver 3 beating you on something like that, and sometimes you just tip your cap and go to the next game. But we talked about it. Cornerback is kind of a need for this team going forward. I thought their corners, for the most part, looked all right. It wasn't the plays they're getting beat. It's Marcus Jones getting mossed by a wide receiver 3 on one of the crazier catches I've seen recently. It's a slight miscommunication with an undrafted safety who's in because Duggar got hurt, leading to George Kittle dunking on 3 players at once. And I couldn't tell if it was a miscommunication or what with Jalen Hawkins and Jonathan Jones on that long pass to Deebo Samuel. That was really it in the passing game. And it's for the most part either miscommunications or just a talent thing. So the way you beat those, you draft more corners and try to develop more players, and you keep it going, and you draft more wide receivers and tight ends so that you can match it on the other side.
Right.
Which, hey, we saw Jalen Polk made a really nice catch of his own on a back shoulder throw. He made a fantastic catch on the 4th down throw. I don't think he got both feet down, but just the fact that he is even catching that at all, I think is crazy impressive and should probably, increase trust from the quarterbacks and get them even more looks. I think Polk has probably been their best receiver through 4 games.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. And that's the thing, is that overall he's been good. That's overall he's been really good. So it's how, I don't know. I just it's, there's a cap on the offense right now. As long as Jacoby Brissett is the quarterback, there's a cap on the offense. And, that's the way it is. And the defense, I think, is good. But again, you lose Christian Barmore, you lose Matthew Judon, you lose Juwan Bentley, you lose Kyle Duggar. I mean, at a certain point, it's how much can we really sustain before the defense that was good becomes mediocre, right? Unfortunately, it's when you're down to your 3rd corner and your 3rd D tackle and your 3rd linebacker, it's of course.
Christian Ellis.
Right. Christian Ellis playing linebacker. Right. Yeah, he's not as good as Juwan Bentley. Hello, we know that.
And it's just moments. And this is one of those spots too where they intentionally didn't address some of the stuff in free agency. I think because they wanted to see what they had in house.
Right.
And the fact that so many players got hurt is really exposing, not exposing, but these guys are getting opportunities. And it's not as bad as the offensive line. It's not killing you the way some of the offensive line issues are. So you can let these guys play through their issues. Next year in free agency, if you want, defensively, you can be aggressive. And they got a lot of money. There's only going to be so many good offensive players to hit the market. You're not going to spend all of the money. Like, obviously, improve the team. They got like $100 million, $125 million. You're not going to spend $50 million on bad players just to say you spent it. So use that on the defense, bolster stuff, get additional pass rushers, sign a veteran corner for some depth in there. Maybe I don't mind Jalen Hawkins, but that's a spot I think you can improve too going forward. If you want to look for more depth at safety, it's a spot you can always improve. I'll keep turning over stones to see what you can find out there.
Yeah.
You got
Yeah. But that's ultimately what it comes down to. You just have to throw darts at the dartboard, right? You just have to keep throwing darts at the dartboard. So, all right, let's do the last ad read, and then we'll talk about a few more things and get the heck out of here.
Yeah, let me load it up here. I took down the wrong thing. There we go. Second time is a charm. Patriots are returning home this upcoming Sunday to play the Dolphins. It does not seem like Drake May is going to play in that game, but the Patriots got a real chance to win that one. You've got another game against the Texans and the throwbacks coming up after that. And we always love going to NFL games. Bruins season right around the corner. They're like a little over a week away from starting things out. So if you want to go any of these things that I'm talking about or anything else, use GameTime. It's a new feature called GameTime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. GameTime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. My favorite feature in the app, it's the all-in pricing. Everybody hates when you check out and you find out those tickets you bought are actually, $25 or $50 more expensive than you thought they were. Click all-in pricing and all of the seats that you're looking at, you're just going to pay what you see. You don't have to worry about anything else. Makes it so much easier to stick to your budget and find seats that are the right value for you. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download GameTime today. What time is it? GameTime.
All right. So I don't know. One thing, bright note. Can we just bright note here? Maybe the best player the Patriots have right now.
Is it Bryce Behringer?
Oh yeah, it is. He is just, oh my God. Watching him punt is so much fun. Another 4 punts today, had another 60-yarder. All 4 punts pinned the Niners inside the 20-yard line. Every single one of them. And he just does it over and over and over again. He is just awesome. He's awesome. It hasn't really made too much of a difference this year, but he's so much fun to watch. He's a great punter. He's a guy that I think he's in discussion right now for All-Pro, in my opinion. He's been fantastic.
Yeah, he's been awesome. And shout out to Joey Sly. Franchise record, 63-yard field goal today. Yeah, that's going to go. It's not going to get the appreciation it deserves because of the circumstances. But after what we saw last year, Sly has been a good kicker for you this year. I believe his only miss was the one that was blocked.
Yes.
Remember correctly?
You are correct. Yeah.
So, ton of confidence.
And look, you wasted a fourth-round pick last year, right, on Chad Ryland. So that's not good. You don't like that. But at the same time, now you have a kicker, right? And so that's a good thing. That's a good thing because you need one, especially for a team that struggles in the red zone. You need a kicker. And so Joey Sly has been really good this year. So that's been solid. And I think the special teams overall has been good. I mean, you had the fumble that they recovered today, which I thought was great, right? You dropped it kind of in the bucket. And it's funny because the Patriots have been kicking it almost exclusively out of bounds. And you wonder if, and I think Zolak mentioned it on the radio broadcast, but you wonder if that kind of caught them off guard a little bit, right? If they weren't ready for for the Patriots to kick it short because they haven't kicked it short yet. And so if it kind of caught them napping a little bit, and so I don't know if that's actually the case or not, but it is interesting to think about.
Yeah, it is. Something I realized we didn't bring up earlier is the Ramondre Stevenson stuff. We touched on it, but the running back in the NFL with the most fumbles last season had 5.
Yikes.
We are 4 games into this season. Ramondre Stevenson has 4 fumbles.
Yeah,
you had mentioned earlier the subject of having elite talent on this team. And one of the issues I feel like we've had with player development is keep getting players who are good, but with real flaws. And Ramondre Stevenson has that right now. He's probably your best offensive player right now. And also, he's not reliable enough to feel comfortable giving him the ball right now. I mean, he got benched for a serious amount of time. And this, it's not a punishment benching as much as it is we don't trust you. And how could with that? I mean, you just can't put the rock on the ground this often. It's unacceptable, inexcusable, inexplicable, and you get 1 or 2 maybe for the rest of the season. That's 100%. It. There's no margin for error here.
Right. Yeah, it just absolutely cannot happen. It cannot happen. And so yeah, it just can't happen. You cannot let that happen anymore. And so I agree with you. I agree with with you 100%. So we'll see. We'll see kind of where it goes from here, but goodness.
Jameson, so what you're saying is he's only got 1 more to go and then we're good, right? Yeah, remind him with 1 more time and he's out. He's done for the year.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
I mean, it's I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I just,
Yeah. But hey, if big picture with this team, we have pointed for a while that week 5 is a potential Drake May start date. And a lot of what was said of the first 2 games, it's possible to win one of those. And you're probably going to go on the road and play 2 good defenses, and the offense is going to struggle. And then we're going to come back home in week 5, and everybody's going to be calling for Drake May.
Yep.
And that's essentially what has happened here. Some of the process stuff has been different than we expected. The offensive line injuries and the way the game's actually played out. But big picture, this is in line with preseason expectations, and team's not good. And teams that aren't good play good teams. It gets ugly, and it's not fun to watch, and it hurts. Like it's not an enjoyable experience at all, and you're gonna get angry watching it. And it's rational, it's understandable. I was angry as everybody else watching this game and frustrated and yelling at the TV. But it's also like, would you have to step back and realize that it's this team can be good, these coaches can be good, these players can be good, and they're still going to have bad games. We saw good Belichick teams get absolutely creamed at various points. So let's not let any 1 or 2 or 3 game stretch here completely set our minds on who these coaches are or the front office or anything. We got 13 more games that get played before we got to have any hard opinions on anything.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. By the way, we have a Jets fan in the chat. Appreciate you coming through.
Great game today.
Laughing right now at the Buffalo Bills. I'm a little upset at the Jets because I picked them as my knockout pool. Didn't go over well when they missed a 50-yard field goal not even a 50-yard field goal. Legatron missed about a 48-yard field goal or something like that. I know it was in the rain, but still, come on.
That was, but watching that Jets game today. First side note, because this is the game I was watching. I was dialed into this one because I was very curious. I believe the first 8 possession. It took until the 8th possession to get a first down.
Yeah, and
that one came by penalty. I believe it took until either the 9th or the 10th possession to get a first down, by yardage,
right?
By the guy getting the yards.
Crazy. Yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers did not look good.
No, he did not. No,
I don't know what happened that Thursday night. He looked like 2017 Aaron Rodgers.
Totally different player. He looked like a completely different player.
Every other game, he's limping around and he looks hurt. Yeah. So I think we just got a little unlucky there.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, James says never pick the Jets or Dallas. I have a great story about this. So my buddy, I play in a knuckle pool every year, and it's $10 a person. There's like 120 people in it, so it's a big pot. One year, my brother-in-law got to like the top. He's in like the top 6, right? And he said, "Okay, he's a Washington fan, has been forever. Dallas was playing Washington on Sunday Night Football, and he took Dallas to win the game. And he did it without consulting me. I would have said, don't ever pick against your team ever. Like Dallas was good, Washington was terrible, but like it doesn't matter, dude. It doesn't matter. And sure enough, Tony Romo. I mean, this is how long ago this was. Tony Romo was playing. Tony Romo got hurt in the game in the first half, and they put in their backup, and he was brutal. And Washington ended up winning on like a last-second field goal or something like that. And I said to him, like, I can't believe you picked against your team because like there's $1,200 on the line. And so like you can't even enjoy the win because your team, you know what I mean? So but anyways, it was just like, oh my God, dude. So but yes, those are the things that happen when you're playing a knuckle pools. Now the good news for my knuckle pool was that it's the second round of it, and his rule is you can buy back after week 1. So technically this is week 1 of the second round. And so I can buy back if I want to, and I'll get the Broncos instead of the Jets. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that. I'll do that. So,
very nice.
But it was either them or Cincinnati, and I was like, I lost because of Cincinnati early. I'm like, I can't pick them again. I know it's the Panthers, but I can't pick them again. So, what are you gonna do? Anyways, anything else you want to talk about as far as the game is concerned from today?
I think Jabril Peppers had a nice pick, so shout out to you for that.
Yep.
I think if there's one kind of positive takeaway, like I remember when the Pats lost at Kansas City in 2014, one of Belichick said after that was that he still felt pretty good about the team coming out of it because he liked the effort they showed throughout the second half. They were still bought in, still making plays, still going for it. And for the most part, I thought you saw that from the Patriots tonight or this afternoon. Buy-in was there the whole game. I thought they improved throughout the game. The effort was there. The game just got away from them, and the other team's better. So I think that's a reason to be a little bit optimistic. And if you can get a little bit healthy this week, you got a winnable game on Sunday against the Dolphins, a team that's right now near the bottom of the league and everything with no Tua. This is not a great team, and they're going to play Monday night, so they'll be on a short week. I'm sure everybody's going to be watching to see how they look, but I think this is a team you match up with really well, and if you're healthy, this can be a get-right game to a degree.
Agreed.
I think that would be helpful, especially with you got that game against the Texans. They look worse than I expected, but I don't think you're going to beat the Texans. Then you get Jacksonville and London. If you beat the Dolphins and you win that London game, what would you be? 3-5 at that point? I think both of those are winnable.
Yeah.
I think if you're 3-5 around the midpoint of the season with the Jets coming to down and that potentially being, Drake May's first game, I think that's a reasonable spot to be in, a spot where we'd feel good. So,
yeah, I agree with you. And I'm, look, we'll see what kind of transpires over the next few weeks. I mean, I don't know if they're going to win those 2 games, but they're at least, it's at least a possibility, right? You feel like you can compete with those teams, right?
Yeah.
And what it comes down to me is going to be, can the offense put anything together? Can they put anything together? Right. And so, I just, man, we'll see. But I don't know how much I trust Jacoby Brissett. I don't know how much I trust Ramondre Stevenson now at this point. But, can they put something together to have somewhat of a respectable game and keep them close, right? I thought Cincinnati, they played pretty well against Cincinnati, but they were able to run and control the clock.
Got to do that again.
No, I will say they had about 50-50 as far as, what's it called? Golly, as far as time of possession today. But
yeah,
You know what I mean?
Some of
But,
that came because the 49ers got points off a pick six, and then they also had the short field and a couple of drives that
True.
had big plays. Like you,
Yep.
you score early in the second half, and it was a 2-possession game, and it was all right. If we get the ball back, we can make something happen. And the 49ers immediately go down the field in 3 plays.
Right.
And score a touchdown, which.
Right. Also, someone keeps recommending the Patriots draft Tez Walker. Tez Walker was drafted already in the 4th round by
the Ravens.
Ravens. So
yeah. Is he active tonight?
I don't believe so. No.
Look this up.
So I don't believe that he is. Maybe I'm wrong, but he hasn't. You don't have any stats, so he might be active tonight, but he does not, to my knowledge, have. He certainly doesn't have. Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyways, but yeah. So anyways, all right. Let's get the hell out of here, man. I can't keep talking about this damn team.
No. We'll be back Wednesday night.
Yeah, so we'll be back Wednesday night discussing what's going to happen on Sunday against the Dolphins. And, listen, again, I think it's going to be a winnable game, but that doesn't mean anything. But I do think it's going to be a winnable game. We'll see. So,
3 of your next 4 at home?
Yes. And the one that's not at home is in London.
Yeah. So you don't play that. This team does not play a true road game until November 3rd. So, you got an opportunity here to try to build something.
Yeah. So we'll see. But all right, well, thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it. Thank you to the chat for going as always, man. The chat was going strong today. We appreciate that. And yeah, we'll talk to you. We'll talk to you guys on Wednesday night.